It's pretty wild when you think about how much meaning can be crammed into just a single sentence. Today, we're basically going to be linguistic surgeons. We're taking one ancient proverb, laying it out on the table, and we are going to dissect it word by word to uncover a whole world of hidden meaning. So, let's get started.
Okay, here it is. A sentence that probably sounds familiar to a lot of you, right? From the book of Proverbs. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. You've got a powerful king, he's on his throne, and he just gets rid of evil by looking at it. But that's just the English translation. That's the tip of the iceberg. The real story, the deeper meaning, is buried in the original language.
And this is where we find it. This is the original Hebrew. Now don't worry, you don't need to be able to read this to get what's going on. The whole point is to understand that each of these ancient words is like a key, and when you put them all together, they unlock a much richer, way more profound picture of justice and leadership than you'd ever guess from the translation.
So that leads us to the big question for this whole explainer. What if this isn't just some simple statement? What if it's a carefully constructed blueprint for an ideal kind of justice? Let's treat this like a linguistic treasure hunt and see what we can find.
All right, let's start with the first half of the proverb. This part really sets the stage. It's all about authority, justice, and the person, or rather the role of the one who's in charge.
Our very first word is melekh. Simple translation, king. And that seems obvious enough, but right here, this is actually our first clue that there's something deeper going on.
See, the word melekh here isn't just talking about one specific guy, like King David or some other ruler. It's talking about the office of the king, the institution itself. It represents legitimate authority, the very foundation of order in a society. So the key takeaway here is we're talking about a role, not just a person. Okay, next up we have yoshev, which means sitting. And if you're thinking, wow, sitting, how exciting can that be? Well, think again. The original Hebrew packs a real punch with this word. This is not about a king taking a break or kicking back. Sitting in this context means to be permanently installed, to be perpetually in office. It implies this constant, unwavering state of duty. This king isn't just sitting down for a bit, he is always on the job, always ready.
And where exactly is he sitting? On the presiding, the throne of judgment. This two-word phrase is really the symbolic heart of this entire first section.
And again, you've probably guessed it. We are not talking about a literal piece of furniture. This isn't just a fancy chair. The throne of judgment represents the whole system of justice, the courts, the law, the institutional power to make things right. It's the symbolic center of the entire judicial system.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got an institution of authority constantly on duty right at the center of the justice system. Now, let's move on to the second half to see what this king actually does. This is where the action happens, and it's all built on a really beautiful metaphor. The main verb here is mezareh, which gets translated as scatters. But, and this is so important, its root comes from the world of farming, specifically from the act of winnowing. And that one detail, well, it changes everything. To really get this, just picture it for a second. You have a farmer who's just harvested his wheat. He scoops up a big shovel full of the grain, all mixed up with the worthless bits, the chaff, and he just tosses it all up into the air.
So what happens? Well, the wind catches it. The light, useless stuff, the chaff, it just gets blown away, scattered to nothing. But the heavy, valuable kernels of grain, they fall straight back down to the ground, ready to be collected. This isn't random scattering. It's a careful, precise act of purification.
And that's what's so cool here. This metaphor completely reframes the king's action. He's not just breaking things up or making a mess. He is actively and precisely separating the good from the bad, the valuable from the worthless, just like that farmer. Justice, in this view, is a purifying process. So, what's the powerful tool the king uses to do all this purifying? A sword? An army? Nope. He uses be'inav, with his eyes. This might be the most profound idea in the entire proverb. Justice isn't delivered with violence or with force. It's delivered through the king's perceptive gaze, his authoritative insight, his simple presence. Just his supervision, his clear-sightedness is enough to separate good from evil. And finally, what is he targeting with this powerful gaze? The last two words tell us everything we need to know. Kol ra, which means all evil.
We're not just talking about tackling a few specific crimes here and there. The scope is total. The word cool means all. No exceptions, no loopholes. The king's purifying gaze addresses universal corruption, every single form of moral and social evil that could possibly threaten order.
So, we've taken the whole sentence apart, piece by piece. We've looked at every single word. Now for the fun part, let's put it all back together and see what our proverb looks like now. This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? So you have a legitimate public authority who is always on duty in the seat of justice. From that position, he performs this purifying act, like winnowing grain, to filter out all societal corruption. And the craziest part? He does all of this just with the power of his perceptive gaze, his authoritative presence. It's this incredible vision of nonviolent, ever-present, purifying justice. Now, look at that English translation one more time. It's the exact same sentence we started with, but it feels completely different now, doesn't it? It's not just a simple statement anymore. It's this dense, poetic, powerful ideal for leadership and order.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. This ancient proverb is basically saying that the most powerful tool a leader has isn't force, but presence. It's not coercion, it's clarity of vision. It really makes you wonder, in any kind of leadership role today, what would it actually look like to embrace the idea that a person's character and their perception can be their most powerful and most purifying tool?